hello and welcome for those who are joining us here at Sanofi's booth. Do you still have a little bit of energy? Yeah, let's say yeah if you do have some energy. Yeah, not very much. Are you still in good shape, ladies and gentlemen? Better. I'm waiting for you. You're my energy. You give me energy, I take back the energy. Okay, so let's move on to our next session. We will talk about another very interesting topic that Sanofi will actually, a speaker from Sanofi will talk about the role of next best intervention in shaping positive healthcare experiences. And for that, please give a warm welcome to Global Head of Digital Advanced Analytics and AI, Firuze Ovali. Welcome, Firuze. I'm very happy to have you here today to talk, as we prepared quite a lot. Let's start probably with a big picture. Yeah, I have heard, Firuze, that the patient journey is very challenging today. We were talking about that with Fabrice earlier. Why is that happening?
Yeah, first of all, great question. Well, let me go.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, in the patient journey, it is a pretty challenging journey because it is a long one. So, it has different components of the journey. First of all, as a patient, you are first of all need to diagnose. Then the treatment that you need to have needs to be decided. And it is not the end of the journey because once your treatment is defined, it doesn't mean that you will get the prescription, meaning you will onboard your treatment. And the last part is that once you get your prescription, staying on the therapy is another struggle that the patient is facing. So that's why there are a lot of hurdles that the patients are facing. And the interesting thing is that think about 100 patients at the beginning of the journey. And we end up around 10 patients who is able to stay on their therapy. So 70 to 80% of the patients never reach their prescription. They're not treated. They're not staying on their therapy because of the different type of the hurdles that they're facing. And the reason is not because they don't want to be treated. They really want to be taken care by. The problem is that the system is not designed for their specific needs. So that's why there is not a one-fits-for-all intervention. It needs to be very unique to the patient. So that's why it is very important to support the patient in the right way, in the right time, exactly in line with their needs.
So tell us that, I think that's quite surprising when we say 10% is very, very few. And that's worrying at the same time. What type of hurdles are we talking about?
Yeah. So once we focus on the onboarding on the treatment, there are a lot of different hurdles that they are having. Just to give you a few examples. In some cases, the physician is not that much experienced on the treatment. So they miss some of the topics in their prescription. The patients are overwhelmed on the paperwork because they don't know exactly what they need to do. In some cases, they do not get the answer from their insurance, so they're not paid for it. And in some cases, they do not know how they really treat themselves because it's an injection. So these are only a few examples that I give you, and there are many others that they're facing. And since these are too much for the patient, the unfortunate part is that around 35% of the new prescriptions are never filled because they're not supported in their journey. That's why we lose 30% of them during that onboarding period.
And I suppose it doesn't stop at the beginning, also in the course of the therapy.
Exactly, yeah.
Why is that? Tell us.
So once they are starting the therapy, it is not the end of the journey because staying on the therapy is as hard as starting the therapy. Just to give you a few examples from the hurdles that they're having. Sometimes they miss their injections, sometimes the doses that they're getting is not right, sometimes they do not get their refill on time, and sometimes their status change, so they lose their pre-authorization or insurance coverage. So they do not continue on their treatment. So that's why when you look at the figures, around 50%, I mean half of them, stop following their prescribed medication within their first 6 months. This is incredible. I mean, we lose half of it because they cannot be able to get the support they need, and they drop off from their treatment.
And I'm sure some people, I did actually drop off my medication at some point because I was thinking I have to stop or I forgot. And so it happens to everybody.
Exactly. Sometimes they think that they are good. I mean, they think that, I mean, yes, now I'm in a good shape. Whereas if it is not consistent, they go back to their first day in a very quick, short period of time.
Exactly. I suggest we have a look at some examples that shows us how Sanofi is using the power of AI actually to support patients. Let's watch the demo.
Yeah.
No two patients are the same. That's why the support they get shouldn't be the same either. Meet Sandra and Casey. They're neighbors, both in their 40s, both recently diagnosed with the same condition. But their journeys are very different. Sandra's doctor isn't very familiar with her new medication. Important paperwork is missed. No one shows Sandra how to use the injection. She feels lost. Behind the scenes, Sanofi's NBI analyzes trends using de-identified data, from prescribing habits to pharmacy insights, to anticipate challenges in care. Casey's doctor knows this medication well. Her paperwork is ready, and she's trained on how to take it. Casey starts her treatment with confidence. Staying on treatment can be just as hard as starting it. That's where Sanofi's NBI really shines. Sandra likes to take her medication after work. Casey prefers mornings. The NBI doesn't just learn, it adapts. Using their preferred contact method, the systems adapt support to fit their daily lives. Sandra checks her texts during lunch. Casey reads emails in the afternoon. The system adjusts, sending messages the way they prefer, when they're most likely to see them. And when cost becomes a challenge, the NBI steps in again, looking at insurance, coverage, and affordability. Case managers reach out with help, by text, email, or call. With Sanofi's NBI, every patient gets support that fits their life, helping them start treatment, stay on it, and feel better. Because when support is personal, care becomes powerful.
Very interesting, actually, the way NBI can be supportive. So tell us a little bit more about those two examples that we have.
Yeah, exactly. So in the example, there are two patients. So these are fictional figures, but they really reflect the reality. So it's a real patient journey. So when you look at Casey and Sandra, they look similar, meaning they're diagnosed for the same thing, they're living in the same place, they have similar ages, but in reality, the experience they're having are totally different. In Sandra's case, his doctor is not that much experienced, so she's exhausted because of the paperwork, and she's struggling with the injection. Whereas in the Casey, it is very smooth. So that's why these two seems to be similar, whereas the experience they're having are totally different.
So what's the difference exactly?
Yeah. So the power of AI and next best intervention really steps in once the patient starts to feel the struggle and the hurdles. So when you look at the example in the video, Sandra has a problem with the medication, with the injection, and she's also struggling with some paperwork, and also she has some problems with the insurance as well. So this is exactly where the MBI steps in. So first of all, we detect that risk. So we can see which type of patient and HCPs are on that high risk. And then MBI steps with a specific intervention, meaning triggers a case manager to support the patient at the right time they want. Or we trigger different channels based on the preference of the patient. So we really try to help them in their real lifetime.
So I understand that's a very human way of using AI somehow, I can say that. How does NBI is helping after the onboarding?
So it becomes much more interesting here, Christina, because NBI learns and adapts. So it really tracks the habits, the trends and everything, and it adapts. So it really triggers the right messages with the right channel, with the right content whenever they need. So it's a very powerful, because it is the first time that we are really utilizing the power of AI to really support the patients in the right time, with the right channel, with the right content they need.
That's very interesting. And let's talk about money. I suppose that's something important for every one of us. What about the budget, the cost of this? Because it's a major barrier.
Exactly. So in some cases, they face issues with their insurance. So either they have a problem with their coverage or they have a problem with their copay. And this is exactly where MBI again steps in. So it detects the risk. It comes with a very specific intervention, triggering a field reimbursement manager or a case manager who goes to the HCOs, meaning the healthcare organizations, and really help the patient to come over from that hurdle and fix it.
I think you had a slide on that, yeah?
Exactly. So.
Yeah. So basically, that's very useful for healthcare professionals, but that's
Exactly.
also very useful for patients.
Exactly.
How would we sum up NBI in a few words?
So it is very simple. First of all, MBI predicts. So it predicts the risk of a patient, and also it predicts a risk of an HCP, meaning it predicts the risk of non-conversion and it predicts the risk of dropout. Once this risk is detected, it is not only detecting the risk, but also coming up with a very personalized intervention. And what we do with the MBI is not only coming up with the intervention, but also activating this intervention via different channels. It can be either a field team you have, or it can be digital channels you have, like emails, messages, or others. Or in some cases, we leverage the MyWay app, which is the patient support program application we have, to trigger the different type of interventions through different channels. So at the end of the day, what it does is it really maximizes the health outcome for the best of the patient, because it comes with a tailor-made interventions for them.
And let's talk about data. I mean, we know that it's a little bit sensitive subject. What do you do with the data?
So first of all, the thing that I want to emphasize is that whatever we do in AI, we do it responsibly. So we have a responsible AI policy in Sanofi. So the data that we use is always being controlled by the compliance office we have. And based on the regulations of the countries, we ensure that the data that we use is in compliance with the regulations. So that's why, I mean, we are very sensitive on that topic, and we only use the data, I mean, if it is allowed to.
I see, and you've experienced NDI now for some time. What are the results, the return of experience?
Yes, so the good news is that it is working. So the thing that I presented to you is not only a concept, but it is a reality. So there are two aspects that I want to share with you. First of all, we see that based on the early results we have, there is around 1 to 3% increase in the conversion of the patients in the different channels that we activate in that intervention. And the second dimension that we see the benefit is that the insight that we are generating is being acknowledged and being accepted around 90 to 95%. So it means that the insight that we are generating is useful and, let me say, acknowledged by the users also.
So that's a fantastic support, I see. And AI is really very interesting.
And one other thing, Christina, do you know how much we can come up with a better focus for our patients by utilizing MBI? Any guess about it?
Can see that. Let us guess. Tell us.
So the good thing is that thanks to MBI, we are able to focus the effort on the highest risk percile of the patients. So currently, we are able to focus the case managers 45% of their time on the highest 20% highly risk patients. So it really helps to come up with the better outcomes in a much faster way.
I see, and I think you told me you were very excited. What's coming next?
Exactly. So it is not the end of the journey. It is the start of the journey. So the next frontier with the MBI is generative AI and agentic AI capabilities that we will plug. So imagine a virtual case manager who is creating the content, who is interacting with the relevant parties, and who is supporting them real time. So we have already started to pilot some of the things, and it is very promising. So more to come. Hopefully next year I will be coming with the agentic AI capabilities where you will be able to see how we can really come up with the intervention real time with the virtual case managers by utilizing the agentic AI capabilities.
Well, I look forward to next year, but there's already great results, and that's quite fantastic, actually.
Exactly.
Any final thoughts, let's say, what's the main takeaway here?
So the key main takeaway is that every patient is unique. So that's why they deserve to have a unique intervention model. They need to be supported, uniquely tailored, personalized, and dynamic. And it needs to be continuous. So for us, what MBI does, it doesn't only solve their problems, but they provide them a real patient experience, which is human, which is really helpful, and which is also hopeful.
Great job. Thank you very much. Great applause to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And now time for a few questions if you have in the audience. Don't hesitate. No questions? I do have a question for you. How were you, doing before NBI? Because these results are fantastic. How were you doing before that?
So the thing is, in the past, the type of insights and the deepness of the insights that we generate was very limited. Because, imagine to collect more than 150,000 different type of data and come up with an insight. It is not possible to do it manually. If you try to do it, it will take months, even years to do it. So that's why the insight that we were able to generate was very limited. So that's why when you look at the figures in the patient journey, we lose 90% of them. But in the future, I believe that by utilizing the power of data and power of AI, we will really help them on their journey, and we will really decrease the number of patients that we lose during their patient journey.
And basically supporting more people.
Exactly.
Well, thank you very much. Any other questions? Yes, one question. Greg, we have one question over here. Don't hesitate to bring the mic very close. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this sharing. It's very interesting. My question is about what's the challenge of the employment of this tool to patients? Because from design-wise, I think it's very ideal. It's fantastic. Can remind the patients the whole pathway. But in reality, have you ever tried for the employment? Is it already applied for the patients?
It is already applied.
Okay.
So the thing that I presented is not the concept, so it is real. So the good news is that, as I have shared, we already started to get the positive impact on it. By utilizing the tailored interventions we are activating via different channels, we see that the conversion ratio, meaning the patients who is able to onboard their therapy and stay on their therapy, is increasing around 1 to 3% based on only with the early results.
Right.
So it is working.
Great.
Yeah.
And where is applied already? In which country?
It is in US.
US. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes.
But you're in so many countries, so I suppose you will spread the good news and the good support as well.
Exactly.
What's that? Do you have an idea of when will it be launched in other countries?
The roadmap in
Exactly.
Europe.
Yeah. So the thing is, whenever we design a digital product, the first thing that we keep in mind is that it needs to be scalable. The reason why we started in the US is, first of all, the data availability and the deepness of insights that you can generate is much higher in US. But if you do something in US, although the data perspective is a little bit limited in other countries, still utilizing the data they have, you can still provide the same capability to the other countries as well. So the idea is to try to see, what are the data availabilities and to see at least to scale this capability out at least to 3 to 5 countries in the next year.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
sure.
you. Do we have other questions? Well, thank you very much again, Firuze. You are here. Where can we find you here? You're standing over here. If there are other questions, you're staying with us? Yeah?
Okay.
Great. Thank you very much. A great applause again, Firuze.
Thank you.
Thank you. And please do not hesitate to go and visit the booth. There are plenty of innovations. We have great startups, a fantastic Formula One car from McLaren, and obviously we have a corridor with a whole journey between research and development up to the patient, how it goes. Enjoy and come back. We are starting in 24 minutes our next session. Thank you very much. Enjoy.